Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this session from wherever you are in the world. I am Nyarai Tunjera from the Cape Peninsula University of Technology in South Africa, Cape Town, South Africa. I'm joined here today by my colleagues, Professor Agnes Yugona and Dr. Joyce Kanyerere from the Cape Peninsula University of Technology, Cape Town, South Africa. So before I dive into the presentation, I want to invite you to hold one image in your mind. Imagine a classroom where every student has a tablet, but the teacher uses them only as expensive substitute for paper textbooks. Access to technology does not equal to digital pedagogy. That gap is exactly what this study investigates. We are presenting today at Site 2026, which is physically happening in Philadelphia, United States, and we are grateful to be here with educators who share our concern for preparing teachers who do not just use technology, but teach meaningfully with it. I would love to hear any thoughts in the chat as we go. In your experience, what is the single biggest factor that moves teacher from simply using technology to genuinely practicing digital technology? My presentation roadmap is showed on the screen, where we are looking at the background and problem statement, research objectives and core questions, theoretical framework that we used, methodology that we employed, results and findings, the findings of the study, discussions as well as the implications, conclusion and recommendation. This is the roadmap that we are going to use to present this study in this paper. Okay, so we start with our background. Why this study? Why now? Could be a question that we should be trying to explore and say why do we uh, research on what we are studying right now, and why is it we are doing it now? So we have realized that the landscape of teacher education has changed dramatically. Digital transformation is no longer a future aspiration. Thank God to the COVID. I think it really made things to be easier, especially for the edtech. It was very difficult to penetrate. So it is a present tense demand on every classroom teacher. Yet our research and growing body of international literature consistently reveals a troubling paradox, where pre-service teachers arrive in our schools as digital literate individuals in their personal lives. They do stream, they post, they collaborate using these digital technologies, um, as well as they equally create content with ease. If you go online, most of our young people are creating content like they are baking hotcakes. Yeah, so you realize that they're coming in with the digital literacy. But what we have seen is that social digital fluency does not automatically transfer into pedagogically purposeful classroom practice. So we are seeing there where we talk about our on point number one. We are looking at the digital transformation in education, where we realize that there is rapid technology integration now that demands educators who can design, deliver, and access learning through digital means, not just to consume content on screens. Point number two, teacher preparation gap. Pre-service teacher training programs often lack explicit focus on developing digital competencies alongside digital pedagogy. That is the gap that we've realized that is lacking in our literature. Point number three is there is limited quantitative evidence examining how digital literacy and digital competencies together predict digital pedagogy, particularly in the South African context. So that is, there is limited literature on empirical evidence that relates to our key terms on our study. And lastly, the significance. If we can identify which specific competencies probably would be able to drive digital pedagogy, and we can also redesign curriculum to develop exactly those competencies, probably making every credit hour count. Yeah, so this is basically where we are having our study and emanating from. Okay, there we do have our objectives that we were looking at. We are looking at access level of digital literacy and digital competencies among pre-service teachers, examine the relationship between digital literacy, digital competence, as well as digital pedagogy, and also looking at to see what is determining factors that will predict the use of digital pedagogy outcomes. Okay, so we see that the answer here is a direct curriculum design implication, and we need to, as we move through this, you never know, the answers may will be surprising to a lot of us. Okay, so our theoretical framework, we use the teacher digital competence, which was developed by Falcon in 2020. So it, which you can see on the Falcon, the teacher digital competence on the screen there. We can see that it has got a number of it embodies a number of theories that we are well versed with. I know we all are well versed with the TPEC. The TPEC, it is at the core of this the framework. It intersects the intersection of technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge is at the center of this framework. This means for our pre-service teachers, digital competence is not an isolated technical skill. It is fundamentally pedagogical. The framework also distinguishes between personal ethical competencies, um, such as digital citizens and managing one's online presence, and personal professional competencies such as accessing productively using digital information and engaging in professional learning networks. And the top layer here, where we are looking at it captures the ultimate, what we ultimately caring about, the confident transformative use of the digital technology. So we're looking at that into technology within the professional practice, effective and beneficial teaching about, with, and through digital technologies. So you see this. I don't know what to call it. Yeah, these 3 pointers here. They are giving us that professional, competent pre-service teachers that we really desire to be in our classrooms. So we chose this because it encompasses all those things that are needed for us to have a competent, professional 21st century educator. The methodology that we used in the study, we used a mixed methods design, specifically a convergence between two two methods, the qualitative and quantitative, where we used surveys that had got some elements of exploring different aspects of digital literacy, digital competence, as well as digital pedagogy, which we found other theorists, I mean researchers using. Um, then we'll move on to the population. Our population was made up of pre-service teachers who were enrolled in a teacher education programs. Specifically, we had a case of 57 pre-service teachers that were taking the course on ICTs in education. Of the 57, we had 48 females, and 15 of those participants and nine of them were male. And out of those 15 participants, they participated, they volunteered to participate in the focus group interviews as well as class observations. So we followed them through their teaching practices. So it is important to note that as part of their ICT course, these 15 pre-service teachers were given tablets and trained on how to use these tablets using the concept of mobile learning. So, giving us the opportunity to observe real pedagogical change over time. So, the sampling procedures that we used was random sampling for the survey, followed by convenient sampling for the focus group drawn from the same program cohort. And the instrument that we used the surveys. The survey was generated, getting questions from other instruments that we followed through the literature, as well as coming up with our own contextual questions. And so our data analysis was we did descriptive statistics and thematic analysis in thematical analysis, and so all the reporting was basically supported by the descriptive statistics, as well as themes were generated from the data that we got from the observations as well as from the surveys. So we got a full ethical clearance was obtained from our institution, ethical clearance committee, and informed consent was secured from all the participants, from all the people who participated for the survey. The first question was for them to consent before they even get into. After reading through the description, they were able to consent. If they didn't consent, they said no, then automatically the survey exits, though we get that information in our survey results to show that someone got in but they exited. It meant that they didn't consent in proceeding with the study. So what we found from the study is with our students they had high basic skills but low academic applications of the skills. So we realized that it was quite interesting to note that I know we still know the digital natives and digital immigrants, conceptualization of use of technologies for teaching and learning from Mark Presky. So that is exactly what you'd think when you go out there and you say, oh, wow, these guys, they are creating this content. So they should be able to translate that content for their subjects into the digital context as they are doing. But unfortunately, that is not what we observed. Um, we also noted that 80% of the students felt that they needed more training specifically for digital pedagogy. They needed to learn, they need to be facilitated on learning on how to use those digital skills for teaching and learning. So it was very interesting to note that. And we also noted that they had some high learning management proficiency because they were using this learning management during the COVID. I think most schools, most education faculties moved on to the virtual learning modes. So at the end of the day, a lot of activities were happening within the learning management system. So this really implied that they they managed to grasp. So in our context for the study, when we demonstrating to them on how to create some virtual classes in one of the modules, in one of the course modules, we used Google Classroom. So they were so very well versed into it, and they were able to use it. And they were also able to use the applications or the assessment, formative assessment, where they would use the Kahoot and Quizlets for their class evaluations sessions. They had a lot of, I think, in most of the observation that I did myself, out of the five that I observed, four of them used Kahoot during their session. So we realized that some of this implication creates strong association within our teacher preparation program. And we also realize that with this kind of outcome, we also have some form of implication that we need to resonate with. So whilst we were looking at this, we realized that because our approach in ICT integration, we have given them frameworks that we use in order for them to be able to realize the importance of learning theories, as well how we adopt them in our practice. So in this study, our pre-service teachers are exposed to TPEC. So there was a lot of alignment with TPEC. So the strong association between the content creation, digital pedagogy aligned very well with TPEC. As core claims, technology is not pedagogically neutral. When a pre-service teacher creates digital content for their learners, they are necessarily integrating technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge. Content creation is a TPEC in action, which we saw that was not well linked to the current study, because we're still in the middle. We didn't teach them on how to do content creation using different applications out there. But their understanding of TPEC, some of them came in and they were able even to say, I'm using this because this is what I want to achieve on their learning outcome. So yeah, TPEC there is was well understood and implied in this study. So implication number two, we also realize that digital competence is a mediator. As our results suggest, that digital competence acts as a professional integrator. It takes individual literate skills and channels them through pedagogical intent, which we did not really realize highly, but it was somehow evidence within our findings. We also resonated with teacher education curriculum design. We also realized that we don't need to treat digital literacy as a prerequisite and digital pedagogy as an add-on. These needs to move together. These needs to be connected to discipline-specific courses. There is need for hands-on digital content creation tasks that require pre-service to design for learning, not just for demonstration. And also we also realize that some of the policy relevance of what we were talking about, South Africa and many other nations need the teacher digital competence, aligned competence standards, that we could say this is a blueprint to measure whether a teacher is competent enough to use digital technology in their classrooms. depending on context as well. Okay, not just a bureaucratic checkboxes, but as meaningful milestones of uh, professional digital pedagogy's readiness. So here we do have the voices from the field, from our focus group discussions. We've got some students who gave us this kind of feedback. We've got quotation number one. I'm grateful to have participated in the course on theories and framework for technology integration. I now know that technology integration is not merely about having technology, but understanding how to use it to enhance learners' understanding of content. So this was one of the pre-service. This pre-service teacher is saying that the exact conceptual shift we are trying to cultivate is what they are implying here. From tool use to pedagogical purpose, the course gave a framework, not just a skill. Okay, then we do have quotation number two. When we had access to the tools and training that actually matched what we need in class, it made a huge difference. I felt like I could try new things and not be afraid to fail. Wow, this is quite interesting. Alignment between training and classroom need is very important, as well as the psychological safety to experiment and the willingness to take pedagogical risk, which is quite important. And all those three design principles for effective digital teacher education. The last quotation: the more I use different technologies successfully, the more I began to see how they could transform my teaching. So, this is what this pre-service teacher is telling us. This resonates with self efficacy in action. Success will build confidence, and confidence will breeds experimentation. Experimentation breeds transformation. So this is the what we really would want to see our pre-service teacher training programs do, to create early success experiences that start with grounding like we are talking about the frameworks there. So these voices remind us that behind every data point is a teacher in information. So every data point is part of a teacher information. Someone trying to make sense of what it means to teach well in the digital world. So there, yeah, that is what we concluding there. That is what we will concluding there. Um, okay, I think this I spoke about it earlier on. Then the conclusion, our conclusion and recommendation are as follows. Pre-service teachers demonstrate moderate to high level of digital literacy. There is no one that you could say they don't know about, they cannot use digital technologies. All of them had some literacy level in varying degrees, from moderate to high level literacies. But their digital pedagogy integration was lagging slightly behind. Why? Because we realized that much of our training was on digital literacy without implying the importance of the digital pedagogy. How are they using it to enhance and transform their learners' understanding of the content that they will be teaching? So here is our references, part of the references that we've used. I know that we used more than these that I've displayed, but these were the main ones that we looked at in our study. Thank you. I open up for questions and discussions. My name is Nyarai Tunjera. I'm from Cape Peninsula University of Technology from Cape Town in South Africa. My email address, to if you want to reach to me, is nztunjera@gmail.com. I still go back to my initial question. In your experience, what is the single biggest factor that moves a teacher from using technology to practicing digital pedagogy? With this, I think I'm happy to share, to now share any questions as well as any comments from the audience. Thank you so much.